All right, you are listening to an episode of Transparency and Merit. My name is Joe. I'm here with Brian, and
Yes.
I think we've come across something interesting to the old-time listeners, to our old shows. We had an old inflammatory talk show, and we had a show before that. So
We had no white guilt show.
We had a white
and a hate
guilt
show.
No white guilt. We had all kinds of variations. We've been doing.
And one
this
person said that it's all the same show.
Well, you know what? We started this Transparency and Merit with a real nice kick. I think we had about 40 episodes of just straight topics, and that was new. That was different from our past shows, and we stuck with that. And I think we still have the plan to continue forward with taking topics, pulling them apart, looking into the history, getting into I think what's really important now, just like with a lot of shows, getting into word roots and the meanings of the words and how they're used, and more importantly, how some words have completely opposite meanings to the usage that's most familiar. So we'll get down to that sort of specifics as we go along. But what's the name of this show here?
This show is TRS, Mr. Solution, and was it Times Past or something like that?
Something like that.
I'm sorry, I'm tweeting the show out, so and Times Past.
TRS, yes. Mr. Solution, and Times Past. Yes.
So some old geezer called me and told me that he was on the TRS show and Mr. Solution had come on there. So I had to do a little bit of digging, and I found Mr. Solution. Yes, I will be very honest. I did hear the show, and I think we should perhaps go into a little bit of history on Mr. Solution. I first heard of Mr. Solution on the Debbie Daly show. He had gone on when Phil Henry's bitch was on the show, and he was talking about dating women, and at first, and how to basically react with women, and he was kind of a Tom Lankus kind of fan.
He was.
And I thought he was a little bit more. I mean, he is conservative, but he was not really a fan of Larry Elder.
Hey, what's going on, Christopher? We got Howard here. We got Christopher, a newer listener. He may have heard some of our past shows, but go on. Let's carry on with the Mr. Solution saga.
Okay, so again, with the Mr. Solution saga. So when I first heard Mr. Solution, I thought because he sounded very similar to a gentleman who was who used to be on the Roy, like occasionally would fill in for Roy Masters. His name was Emmanuel McLittle, and I thought that it was him. It turned out not to be him, because Emmanuel McLittle would not have had the views about Thomas Sowell and Larry Elder, because he kind of shocked me with his rebuke of these individuals, and then at first I was glad to have him on, and then he became a regular to try to downgrade and attack me.
Oh, he sure did.
Yes.
Those were some epic. I mean, you're talking about 2-3 hours of just back and forth, and mostly him slamming you against the ropes for quite a while.
Yes, he did. He did. He put me against the ropes, and then I think I kind of caught his number.
You did.
And I started to kind of defeat him because he is a bit of a narcissist, a bit self-aggrandizing, but he is entertaining. Once you get through his personal attacks.
There was a distinct moment when you absolutely just, it was that Rocky moment where he was just getting hammered and hammered by Apollo, and he gets up and he just swings, and you just took you just drilled him in the chin, it seemed, and it went on for not that long. I don't remember if it was a week or a couple weeks of this, and the wheels fell off. I think
I started to realize how to counter his attacks, and so I basically at that point I did defeat him, and he is he is pretty masterful. Another person, by the way.
This is no exaggeration. He got slammed. There was no exaggeration there. I felt great. It was like I was like cheering. I felt like I was in the front row cheering as Mr. Midnight Movie got up and did swung his arm in a circle about 15 times and then just laid it right on his chin.
Yes. So, and it was happy. It was basically I was doing verbal jujitsu moves on that man.
It was one of the best moments for me, and I've been doing these podcasts with you for almost 10 years. That is a very distinct memory of just it felt good because the attacks were so brutal and they went on for so long, and I had given up. I was like, this is horrible.
Well, it was actually on Debbie's show where the audio would have been. It was on, because by the way, our Blog Talk show had been had been taken off the air, and I think this is kind of like times of old when we're basically political Woodstock is out and about again. So, should we play the show in here?
Well, let's get fast forward a little bit. Then he disappeared. That was it. Yeah. Once he got hit in the chin. Yes. And then our show had gotten dismantled from BTR. They took all of our everything was down. All our efforts, no warning, nothing. Our shows were all gone, except for the ones that I had saved. And so we moved on. We moved over to Spreaker, and things haven't gotten any better for us, I have to say. But we've had some more moments since then that have been great, and that's why we keep going. It's kind of like golf. You could be a shitty golfer, but you just have that one swing, and you just drill the ball, and it's just a perfect shot. And that's all it takes sometimes, because it can be a frustrating sport. It takes one shot, and you're like, okay, I got this, and makes you kind of want to come back for more.
Well, I'll say this: there was the classic episode between Guy Shea and Mr. Solution.
Yes,
and let's see. And she said he came to Spreaker where I did. He was on my show when I first came here. Well, yeah, I did say I first became aware of him on your show, and then he came on to my show. And I want to say that me and Debbie were on the outs at that time, and she actually tweeted a Blog Talk show to say, "Look at this fat man get taken down by Mr. Solution." And then Mr. Solution I think he's around Twitter somewhere, but he went back on the Debbie show, and they started. They started to get along, and then me and then that's how we kind of creeped back into Debbie's thing. So, but yeah, I mean, I think we exposed, we may have exposed the real Mr. Solutions and who he was. There's debate on whether that was his voice. We may never know. I may never meet Mr. Solution. I hear he's in the LA area. I'd love to meet the man.
I'm pretty sure, by the way, that I saw him one day. He told me once his route that he sometimes would ride, and he would ride in these groups. And I lived over in Playa del Rey at the time, and I used to spend a lot of time running and riding my bike up and down Westchester and one of the streets over there. And I'm pretty sure I saw him because I heard a big group of riders went by, and I can't miss his voice. It's very distinctive, and I'm pretty sure I had heard it. So that was my close brush with Mr. Solution.
Now, were they all of the same ethnic and racial group that he was riding with?
Yes, they were.
You might want to ride with a group because I think he's probably afraid of the TRS. Some of those TRS guys have seemed to have been rather threatening
yes.
to Mr. Solutions.
He would get ghetto. Yes, that was one of his things. He could get very ghetto. He's very well spoken and very cutting and very intelligent, but he could get ghetto. Don't get it twisted.
But I remember I said, would you be there to meet the TRS group? And he said, not without an armed guard. And he said, I would be armed myself, by the way. He'd be like, I will draw down. He was like, I will draw down on every one of you. I'm assuming that he was like, I have a powerful shotgun. He hated me. He said there's an oven waiting for you, JP.
Yes.
For you, Joe. Yeah.
He did not like He may have been the originator of the first one to call me a snake and I think a jackal.
Yes, he did.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So let us play.
This is a show called Brother Howard 2020 Vision. This was today. Yesterday. And Mr. Solution is in the mix here. Should I go ahead and play some of this?
Let's play.
I mean, like the original text say that's where it lives, though.
I'm sorry.
Like what you just said, though. Does it say that's what it means, though, by like calamities? Like, does it exactly
well,
say
this guy
that's what
talks
it is,
fast.
Though? I mean, if it's not, then like you give like your own interpretation of what it is. If it doesn't say,
no, I looked it up. That's what the translation of the word that's put there. It has those definitions that you could use. So.
Yeah, I have a comment on that.
There's Solution.
Though. I mean, so, like I said, it's up for interpretation there. I mean, you can say that it means calamities like earthquakes and stuff, and someone can say like, well, it doesn't, you know what I'm saying? So if it doesn't say exactly, then, you know.
Well, again, you got to remember, we're translating a Hebrew word, so.
All right, I'm gonna read it to you. All right.
Okay.
The word is ra. That's the word. Okay. Which means bad.
Okay.
It means evil. It means calamity. It means affliction. It means bad. It means adversity. It means distress. It means everything negative. That's what God creates.
Okay. Yeah, that's not.
Now that's the word itself.
That's not. Okay, hold on. Now I gotta go. See, now you gonna make me get up and go and pull my stuff out. Come on, you killing me.
I'm only pulling it out because you asked me to. Trust me.
But that's what I'm saying. I mean, like it doesn't say like like I said, I mean, like what he just said, it like covers everything, the calamities, the evil part.
Everything evil.
Yeah, anything bad. Exactly, yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Right, but that's in response. That's in response to humans' actions. That, in other words, if one understands this correctly, God can't do evil because God is his nature. He cannot violate his own.
This is Mr. Solutions talking.
Yeah.
Nature. So evil is something only a creature can do, not God, or at least that's the way God is presented. So God creates the results of man's sin, and even the natural, what we call natural sin, is the result of man sinning. Because remember, man was given hegemony or dominance over the earth, and then he gave that up by being disobedient. So I think a lot of these issues could be answered by looking at man's free will. I don't think any of us deny the fact that man has free will. Right?
Wow, everyone, please, I have to make an announcement. Wow.
Shut up.
Oh, my goodness.
I listened
We
to
were
the
just
ad
talking about it
infinitum.
last night. Oh, my God. This is a holiday.
This is the best gift
Oh,
we could
my
ever have.
God. This is a
Hold
gift.
on,
My God.
You're being too emotional there. No, that's the thing you have to look at. You have to look at man has a free will. Just like you and I.
Was that one of the things you took from Mr. Solution? How to control your emotion?
No, I've always tried to be stoic, but let's continue to play. Now they are. Now this show, by the way, this YouTube thing, it goes on for 11 hours.
11 hours. 11 hours, 54 minutes. Almost just shy of 12 hours. I'm not kidding you.
Almost half a day. And I don't know if it, I mean, like, is someone having a show for that long?
So Real Talk Solutions, is this Mr. Solution? Is this his thing? Mr. Solution, the man, the myth, the legend.
He was.
Will and
What's that?
I think he just came back after a while, and I don't know if they're on Blog Talk, like if he's doing it from Blog Talk and other stations, like because he has a switchboard, I think there's a way to build one outside of.
I'm just talking about this Real Talk Solutions. What is that, Mr. Solution?
No.
Oh.
and there are consequences to what we do. So you just can't judge God in isolation from what man is doing. If you go back, for example, if you go back to Genesis, I believe it's in Genesis 4 or 5, you can check it out. God gives a legal indictment of man's behavior, because he's constantly murdering. From what historians tell us, that's what they were doing when God said man's all the thoughts of his imagination are evil from his childhood. So they were just killing each other, and that's the reason God brought the flood or the deluge. But when it talks about that scripture in Isaiah, and I had an issue with that scripture too, so I had to research it. And what God is saying is, he presents the calamity, in other words, the punishment for man's behavior, which makes sense.
Hold on, though, but okay, so God just killed the wicked people with that flood or deluge or whatever. I mean, that is kind of, isn't that like in itself kind of evil though? I mean, we have free will, but he punishes man for using his free will though. So so what? That doesn't. How does that work?
Okay, what do you do? It's like this. It's like this. It works very easily. Like go back and read. It's like this. If you
Right now, we have a guest on the show. Let Mr. Solution get it out. He hasn't been here a month.
Who's the guest?
Go, Big J. Go ahead, Mr. Solution.
No, that's okay. We can dialogue. But if,
I know we can
someone will
dialogue, but I
just go
want you to
back
respond.
to Genesis,
So go ahead.
before God does anything, he puts it in writing. In other words, he records it. If you go back and you look at what they were doing, they were killing each other. he said the thoughts of their imagination were evil from their childhood, from very early on. And they were living to great ages. Excuse me?
I said, I believe it said that the thoughts was evil all the time.
Yeah, can you imagine that? Now, most of us, even the worst of us, or at least, generally, we aren't doing evil all the time. But that's what those people were committed to. They had they had run amok. And so God had to destroy them. I give you another quick example. If you look at the example of Sodom and Gomorrah, and where Abraham...
All right, so let's also clarify. This isn't an old. This is not an old recording. This was done yesterday.
Yeah, this was done yesterday.
So Angela or whoever else is up my butt for playing old audio. This is new.
I think she's accusing Debbie of doing old audio, but I mean, the truth is Debbie did a lot. I mean, you know what? Debbie did a lot more with Mr. Solution, or just as much, if not more, with Mr. Solution than I did. I'm just going to be honest.
Oh yeah.
But I don't. And then, like I said, and he had the most dramatic moments with her show had the most dramatic moments with Mr. Solution when Guy Shea showed up.
Well, they also did the spiritual thing on Sundays where they
had a very long Bible show. And then and he would always, Mr. Solution would always come back to attacking me about how bad I was and how much of a pig I was. I think he was always offended by my views on the civil rights, the perverted civil rights movement. And he would, and for a while he would stump me. And then I started to become a little bit more aware of his tactics. And I learned a lot from the guy. As much as I disliked him, I learned how my enemy, because on this level, to a degree, he is my enemy on how he thinks and his thought process, because he is a bit of one of the brain dead people of the civil rights industrial complex.
Hold on a second. We just explained. Debbie's saying no, he would call in and destroy you. You were on all of my shows. He said you were a racist and an idiot. And and honestly, Brian countered him and started to absolutely put Solution in a corner, and he didn't like it, and he stopped that. A lot of things stopped at that point. Things slowed down. He disappeared.
And then I picked up on his catchphrases.
Sorry.
I also picked up on his methods, and I kind of and now some of my skills have become a little bit better at my debating skills have become a little bit better, and I learned to be a little bit more forceful when I have to be and narrow my.
Hold on. You did receive a call. Should we try to bring that call in? I don't know who that was, but we're not. For some reason, we're having problems picking up.
You know what? I have my thing on Do Not Disturb, but I can. I got. How many calls are we getting? A lot of calls here. Let me see.
Can you look at this number and dial it and bring it in?
I can. Let me take a look here. Let me go. Active. All right, I'm going to put it on active. All right, what number is it? Let me see here.
You see where it is? Where am I?
Hold on. I see that number, but hold on. It's rather small, though. You're going to have to enlarge it a little bit. Can you put it in your okay?
See it here?
Yes, I do. Shoot.
So we're going to try to call this number in. What is Angela babbling about?
I don't know.
Will you stop it, Angela?
I'm kidding. I don't care. All right, let me see.
Yeah.
I think that's you know who though.
Okay.
Oh, and he called you. Did
No, this is the number that call it. Let's call it and bring it in.
All right, hold on. Let me. You want to play a little bit more of that? Let me see here. Can you put it in the Skype thing because it's hard for me? Can you put it in the Skype chat?
He went from 50 all the way down to 10, and actually the implication is it wasn't.
Yeah, no, I see it. Okay.
People. He said he would have.
But the thing is,
if there had been 10 righteous people, and there weren't 10 righteous people there, so he destroyed the city of Sodom and Gomorrah.
No. And I actually like this conversation.
Can I just go ahead and say the reason why,
the problem is, Joe, I got to, if you can put it in the Skype chat, like in the Skype chat, because when I go to add a caller, can you just put it in the Skype?
I'm going to use Ron Paul's speech when he was a congressman down here in Texas. He said, if you are not responsible with your freedom,
hold on, I got to write it down. Fuck. Because when I go to
if you're not responsible with your free will, at some point though, you're going to fuck up and fuck that shit off. So that is that is the analogy here.
All right, hold on.
If you're giving something and you're misusing or abusing that free will, or in abusing as a collective. If you're abusing it as a collective, that free will, therefore, though, you will be punished for it. It will be taken away from you. Just like freedoms we have. We want to we use our freedoms to say dumb shit. Guess what? Don't be surprised when people get tired of hearing dumb shit and cut your ass off.
Okay.
Now, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, now, for when he brought this flood about, does it say exactly what evils these people were doing for him to flood the world? What evils were they doing? I mean, does it say?
Yeah.
What were they doing?
Killing, raping.
Hold on. Like, does the scriptures say exactly that, though? Is that what they were? I mean, or is that what you say they were doing? Does the scriptures say exactly what?
Yeah, you're gonna have to do it.
What evil they were committing? Does it say exactly what evil they were committing? Because, like, to me, I mean, evil could be. I mean, it could have been like just not believing in him. Maybe they didn't accept him as their Lord and Savior or whatever. That could. I mean, maybe that was the case. If it doesn't say like what evil exactly they were committing, then what exactly were they doing?
Well, let me say something about this.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, let me say something about this real quick. Now, I'm going by what his name, Mr. Solutions. I'm gonna go by the scripture that he was using. That way, we don't get lost in what he was saying. Now, he was talking about Isaiah 45 verse 7 doesn't really mean what it's saying. That's basically what I heard. Because the scripture is saying that God is saying this. That God is saying that I do good and evil. He said, I, the Lord, do these things. So he let you know exactly what he meant. He's not saying that he's using man. He's saying, this is what I do. This is just my thing. I create good and I do evil. He said, I do that. Now, I understand what you're trying to say. I definitely do. I understand what you're trying to say. But that's not what the scriptures say. That's not what we see in the scriptures. That's really not. Also,
well, yes, it is.
The book of Genesis.
Did you get it?
Let him finish.
Hold on. Go ahead. I'm trying to listen to everything you say. That way I can try to get everything that you're saying. That's what it's saying in the scriptures. Now, we can put our own interpolation, eisegesis, and we can do whatever we want. But that's
okay, I'm calling it.
Saying. When you went to
Google subscriber you have called is not available. Please leave a message after the tone.
Call us back. Immediately.
Call us back. I wonder who that was.
We don't know. Next time they call, I will answer it and put you on hold. And actually, hang up and I'll add you in.
Yeah, call him and find out who it is.
We'll have to wait until they call us. So.
All right.
So go ahead. Phone lines are open now. We'll figure this out one way or another. You're listening to Transparency and Merit. Anything you got to add here to you're going to add to the Mr. Solution saga?
Yes. So, is that person trying to call you back?
I'll let you know. Oh, yes.
Right.
Yes. So, hang up and I'll call you. Yes. Hello.
Where is my attribution, you heathen snake?
You deserve no time. You deserve none.
I'm the one that discovered Solutions Alive. And no ass rocket.
So,
all right.
Where's my attribution?
Your attribution?
He claims to have
I
discovered.
said it was you. I mentioned you.
You're even in the description.
You're in the description, sir.
I want my attribution. And I want it noted that as soon as I spoke, Solution tucked the tail and ran.
Again.
Well.
Again.
Yes. Well, a lot of people run away from you. You're not one of the more likable characters out there, you know.
I am a character, though.
And, you know, maybe you should change your name to the one angry Jew to the one hated Jew.
How about the one hated and angry Jew?
Are you angry?
Always.
Me too.
But you're angry for strange reasons. First of all, you have me blocked on Skype, which is very detrimental.
Smart, which is smart.
No, it's smart because you chose to call several times and try to derail my show. And I'll, you know what?
And we haven't had the disruption since you've been gone. What a coincidence.
But you should unblock me. You should unblock me. You know why? Because God commands you to do so.
No, God does not demand me to do so. Hey, you know what? I got ink all over my hands. I gotta wash my hands. Joe, take over while I wash my hands real quick.
What do you suppose he was doing that he gets ink all over his hands? How's that possible during the show?
Well, he was forced to actually use a pen, and I think he forgot.
Yes.
He's forgotten how to use a pen. But that's what
happens.
But
they usually don't leak. They usually don't leak ink all over.
Like I said, he's forgotten how to use a pen, and that's probably what happened.
Was this a cheap pen?
I used it earlier today. It was actually fine when I used it, but somehow he managed to break it.
I didn't ask you if you used it. I asked you, was it a cheap pen?
No, I told you it was the pen worked fine when I used it, so he's forgotten.
Again, you have a problem understanding English.
No, I understand your question.
Cheap? Was it a cheap pen?
What I'm telling you is, when I used it, it worked perfectly. It wrote. It followed my command. But somehow it ended up all over his hands. So,
who made this pen?
Probably a company in China.
Yes. Is it a Bic pen?
It was a Bic pen. Yes.
That would be a cheap pen.
Yep. I don't mess with them.
Why couldn't you admit that?
Well, it's not my pen. I don't know how much he paid for it, but it worked fine when I used it.
He probably stole it from work.
No, he has a whole box of these pens that apparently break.
Now, who has a box of pens?
He does.
Other than people steal boxes of pens from work.
No, he bought a box of pens. You buy them anywhere.
You buy a whole box of pens?
At CVS, you can, sure.
A whole box?
A whole box.
How many in a box?
You're derailing our show. What does this have to do with anything?
Nothing. He's trying to figure out why the pen broke.
Well, what is your show about?
What does the title say, sir?
If it's about Mr. Solution, I would say to you that you have woefully done an inadequate show and have not talked very much about him.
Well, what do you know about him?
You've derailed your own show.
What do you know about him? I asked you a question and you did not.
I know that he runs when the Jew comes.
Okay.
Now I do think I drove him from Debbie's show.
Okay.
In fact, I'm almost sure that I did.
Almost.
Yeah, almost. 2 times in a row, he ran. As soon as I got into TRS and started talking to him, he ran. He just disappeared. He tucked tail and ran.
Yeah, he ran from Brian too.
You said he mentioned me though.
No, he mentioned Debbie. I'm sorry, he didn't mention Debbie. The others mentioned Debbie. They seem to be fixated on Debbie.
She's a blonde. Yes, they mentioned.
They didn't focus on you.
They mentioned Debbie. Yeah. By the way, they mentioned Debbie, and they mentioned the. I forget the guy who Wiley Price. The.
Yes.
Yeah, they mentioned him, and they mentioned that Debbie. The bail bonds business was led under by this politician, and they called him a black politician. They didn't call him what he was.
Did you hear the main speaker who was challenging me? He goes by the name of Mama's Boy.
I heard some of it.
He's a low-life black man from South Dallas who beats dogs and is unkind to animals.
He did not. He disputes that.
No, he doesn't. He just disputed that he was mean to his brother-in-law's dog.
How do you know he beats animals?
If you hear that show every once in a while, you'll know. He is an animal abuser. He's only better than some of the Muslims in the other countries. Because Muslims don't like dogs.
Now, you do have a few Muslims on that show, by the way.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, they're fake Muslims. They like to call Jews fake Jews, the Ashkenazi Jews. They told me last night that those weren't the real Jews. But they're not the real Muslims. But they take on that Muslim thing when they get into prison. Seems to be very popular.
Well, now I think I think, and I don't know if the Hebrew Israelites will overtake the Nation of Islam. But there are quite a few Hebrew Israelites and black Muslims on that show. One of them, and I missed him. One of them, by the way, was Good God Allah, also known as Poverty Supreme.
But he wasn't on last night.
I haven't.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I only came in maybe an hour 10. Now, these people do this every night. They sit there and jaw with each other all night long.
It was a 12-hour show.
And they go nowhere because they never say anything different. It's always the same thing. How much they hate the white man. How much the white man has put them down, and how white men are crackers and mongrels.
You know what? I have Brother Good God Allah still on my Facebook. I mean, on my thing. So I don't know if he's still... But Good God, Brother Good God Allah is... I'm interested in texting him, by the way. Are you still on...
Why don't you invite him to your show?
TRS?
Why don't you invite him on the air right now?
Why don't you just call him?
Tell him to come and
call him.
Tell him to come and challenge the one angry Jew.
Call him.
He won't talk to you.
Why
he
not?
Specifically said, if you were on the air that they would automatically call would be disconnected. You were absolutely hated by that.
Yes. Why is that? I think they're afraid. Do you think they're afraid?
They might be.
Oh,
they may be. Well, I just tried to contact him, but I won't have him. If Brother Good God Allah was on, I would absolutely hang up on you and tell Joe to hang up on you because I'd rather have. I'm going to tell you why, and I'm going to tell you why because I wouldn't have a show with him. He would hang up, and he wouldn't because he would never go on with you.
So you would let some Muslim, some hater of white people, dictate the people who are on your show?
I would do that. I would do that because you were on several times, and he wouldn't come on elsewhere. So yes, I would. On that one, yes, absolutely, because he wouldn't go on otherwise. I can get you on any day of the week. I can't get him on at all. So he's more difficult.
How can you get me on when you have me? How can you get me on when you have me blocked on Skype?
You derailed my show. You're begging to come on my show, is what you do.
I'm on your show. I'm not begging. You two fell over yourselves trying to call me.
No, you called us.
I called you once, and you fell over yourselves.
We didn't
trying to call me.
We weren't sure it was you, actually.
Yeah.
Mr.
Called them under a different number.
I was a little disappointed.
Were you? Mm-hmm. It was a Midnight Movie, for sure.
Yeah, I was disappointed too. I was hoping it was going to be somebody better.
Somebody better, like whom?
Like Good God Allah. Brother Good God Allah.
He doesn't even know you exist, and you're white.
That's right.
And they call you white mongrels.
Good.
With back hair. Do you have back hair?
No. Do you?
He hesitated.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Fuck you, Angela.
Well, you're laughing. Why are you laughing?
What are you talking about?
Because I'm right.
Are you telling me that this black guy, this mama's boy that he goes by, a vile character, a very disgusting man, are you telling me that he's correct when he accuses white people of having back hair?
I don't know. That sounds so silly.
Why are you laughing?
I'm laughing because it's funny. You said the word back hair.
Do you find it funny that he calls us mongrels?
Yeah, I don't really care. I don't give a shit what he says.
He says white people have lice. Are black people immune to lice?
I can give a shit less.
Then why are you talking about him?
Exactly.
Why not? Well, because why not? Because Mr. Solution was on that show.
Yes, he was until I came on, and then he ran as if he had a rocket in his ass.
You see, one thing about Mr. Solutions is if he cannot debate someone, he runs or he stays quiet. He's done it with me numerous times. He would never debate me or even answer a question. And he would do the same thing with the one, the only angry Jew.
Yeah. Do you think he's afraid of Jews?
I think he's afraid of people that know how to hold their own. Brian obviously couldn't.
Well, Brian has me blocked on Skype, which is a terrible thing.
I blocked you on Skype because you know what you did. You know what you did.
Well, what did I do?
Well, what did he do, really?
What did I do?
He had the same behavior as he did before.
What did I do, Brian?
And look what you did.
Yeah.
I blocked because you weren't even wanting to be on, and you were doing it against Joe is what you were doing.
Yes, I was. You mean I was disrupting?
Yes.
You were disrupting.
Yes, I was.
In a passive-aggressive way.
I thought
And
it
is
was
this
aggressive.
news to you?
Aggressive at all. It was.
He has no right to do that. He should have been.
Go eat
in
some
this
lentil
instance,
soup.
His legal, you know what should have happened to him legally? He should have been hit with a baton.
Oh my
It
goodness.
was aggressive, not passive.
It was aggressive.
It was not aggressive.
It was very aggressive.
It was an
Not-
attack.
No.
It was an all-out attack.
No,
an
it was
attack of ringtones. Now let's just call it what it was. It was an attack.
It was
of
an obnoxious
ringtones.
display of behavior by a low-minded adult.
No, it was a constant display of ringtones by
Low-minded?
somebody
Yes.
on
Better
Skype.
clean that up.
What? Are you kidding? Angela,
Calling
shut
him
up.
low-minded? He is not no. Mm-mm. That's not correct. You guys left yourself vulnerable. It's your fault, not his.
Go eat a burger.
Exactly.
I want to eat a burger. It's probably why I'm so cranky.
Me too. I'm going to get ribs tonight.
Go
Put 'em
down
up
to
your
Lisa's.
ass.
Is it Lisa's in downtown Bangkok?
Yes. It's got a beautiful
Put 'em
view
up
to
your
it.
ass.
There's a place called Lisa's in
All right,
Bangkok.
you know what?
There's
All
really good
right.
food.
All right.
All right.
Joe,
What
I
have you
think
done with this show, 3M?
I'm done
Yes.
with the show.
Yes.
All right.
Oh, you're done, all
Are you
right.
running? Wait a minute. Are you running like Mr. Solution because the Jew
I'm
came
not
over
running.
to-
I just don't want. Look, I got to get to bed. You
Yeah,
are boring.
right.
You're
Do you have to work
boring.
tomorrow?
You're boring. Yes,
Are
I
you
have to work
working
tomorrow.
tomorrow?
You're boring.
Yes.
You're boring.
No.
You're brutish.
You're losing. That's why you're boring.
I am not losing, and I got to take a you know what.
A dump.
So
Oh, why
Take a
is it?
shower.
Sid.
Go take your shower and come back. You've done it
I don't wanna
before.
come
that
back.
astronaut? Why don't you do
Yes,
what that
you
astronaut
do.
did that went to Florida to kill somebody? Why don't you wear a diaper?
Man up.
why don't you stick
Why don't
those
you wear
ribs
a,
up your ass?
Why don't you wear a diaper for your show, and then you can tell
Yes.
everybody that you're wearing a diaper?
Good, I will. Joe, I'm gonna hang up. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
you're
take a
gonna
shower.
run.
All right.
And you can give,
Run.
a
If you
huge
wanna continue.
description.
We will go ahead and end
You
it.
can give great descriptions of what you're doing in your diaper.
Okay, no,
Yes.
I'm not going to give you any descriptions. It's
Thank
it was
you.
great.
Load by load.
I will
How
not
many
be
loads can it
chastised.
handle?
If you are listening,
Yeah, I will not be chastised by a man who talks about scat.
if you are
and
watching
farts.
or
Don't
listening on
forget about
YouTube,
that.
make sure you
And
like
farts,
and
too.
subscribe and leave comments.
Yes.
And
Fill
thank you
out
for
for
listening to
me.
Transparency
And farts,
and
too.
Merit. We will be
Yeah.
back another day to destroy anything
No,
that
you
stands
won't.
in our
You've
way.
destroyed
Let the
nothing.
boycott begin.
You have conquered nothing.